Weird.
Oh, welcome back, Crunchers. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. We're back here. So yeah, just kind of recapping. We both feel like it's a flub with Johnny Depp. Hopefully he comes back. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that, and we keep that character interesting. But let's move on with talking about Star Wars. We want to talk about ever since Disney's taken over. We want to talk about how we feel about the movies, how the franchise has progressed, and you know, like where the state of the franchise is right now. But we wanted to talk about some of our favorite Star Wars moments to begin with.
Yeah.
Max, what's a favorite Star Wars moment?
Oh man, there's so many. Well, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give my probably one of my favorites ever here, real quick, and it's from the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show, and
Okay.
it's I think season 4, one of the last episodes. And sorry if you haven't seen the show by now; it's been like almost 10 years, I feel like, since this. So if you haven't watched it, I don't feel bad that you're getting a spoiler. Um, so there's an episode where Darth Maul is reintroduced in this show, and he has another character that I cannot remember the name of right now. It's not Asajj Ventress because that's someone else. But anyway, he's got another like Sith type character, Dark Jedi, whatever you want to call it, because he wasn't a Sith, that he's with, and they go and they fight against Darth Sidious. And this fight scene between the two of them is so epic that I just love it every time I watch it. It's probably the best fight in all of Star Wars that was like ever released, at least like on screen. In your imagination, maybe you can make something even better. But yeah, that's just one of my favorite moments.
Was that what? Which one was that in?
It's in Clone Wars. It's like
In Clone
season
Wars.
4. Yeah, and you see Darth Maul
I'm trying to
and
remember that.
Sidious fighting each other, and Sidious just obliterates them. And I
Oh
love
yeah,
it
yeah.
because he's my favorite character, and we get to see how powerful he is as far as like his cunning and his wit, but we don't get to see how powerful he is too much with like a lightsaber in the movies. I mean, yeah, he does cut down several Jedi when Mace Windu comes to arrest him, but like you don't get a good grasp of how good he is with a lightsaber, even when he fights Yoda. So I really like that scene because it shows you this guy is no joke.
Yeah, that's cool. So I know we kind of talked about only going over one, and so I was just like, because there's obviously so many good Star Wars moments. I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about the TV shows at first. I was just thinking of the movies, but um,
Yeah, some of my
so
favorite moments in Star Wars are not even in the movies. It's in the books or the TV shows. Like so that's some of the best Star Wars that's out there.
well, you would know more about that than I would. I have watched the shows, but I haven't read the books. But I just decided to go with the first one that came to my head because I'm like, there's so many good Star Wars moments. I don't know which one's my favorite. The first one that comes to my head is Chirrut from Rogue One
Okay.
when they are getting taken away by the stormtroopers when you first meet them, and they put a bag over his head, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? I'm blind."
Yes, I love that moment. I was watching Rogue One last night and I didn't finish it, but yeah, that moment is so great. It's so funny.
Anyway, that was the first one I thought of. I thought it was great, but and honestly, like I would love to see a TV series with Chirrut and what's the other guy's name? His buddy.
Oh man, I don't even know.
Um,
I don't know.
man, where's he at? I'm on IMDb right now.
I think they would be really fun. They
I don't
obviously
even
won't
see him.
be. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. I highly doubt that they would be in the show with Cassian Andor, but you never know. Maybe they could show up in some small capacity.
Yeah, and I think it's a bummer because really like people like the more in-depth Star Wars like storylines where like it explains the Force you
Yeah.
know, and what it is. And I feel like going into those, with Chirrut being one of those guardians of the temple, you could learn so much more about like the history of the Force, and they could even do flashbacks of different Jedi that have been at different temples and stuff like that. And I think could be a really cool series, But so it's a shame that they're not even talking about it. But what do I know? I'm just a fan.
You know nothing.
They don't want to do what I want anyway. So
Yeah, no, that is a really good moment. And just in general, if we're gonna go movies, I think my favorite Star Wars movie moment might be Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One there, when they're trying to shoot him down and he's just destroying them.
no, man,
That
that
is
was so cool.
such a good moment. I mean, some of the best moments are just they're Sith moments. They just are. Darth Maul fighting against Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, amazing battle sequence. Darth Vader and not Obi-Wan in episode 4. That was a horrible fight. But, Luke versus Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi is pretty good. Yoda, I think Yoda and Darth Sidious have a pretty good fight. It's pretty fun. And Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight is one of the best in the series too. But yeah, there's just some really, really good moments in those movies. But Darth Vader's, I think that tops it, man. When he's lifting his hand up and throwing people against walls, and it just shows you how terrifying that character is.
Yeah. It kind of it gave you a visual of the presence that they kind of built up in the original trilogy of Darth Vader.
But I feel like they maybe didn't have the technology to like showcase as well.
Right. Yeah. Like the, Empire Strikes Back, when he's fighting Luke, you kind of get that feeling, because it's the first time you're seeing the Force like chuck stuff around and like, really show how powerful he is. But this kind of like brought you back to that and reinforced like he was why he was so feared in the universe.
Well, and like it shows you that he's nimble. Like he feels really stiff in the original trilogy,
right?
And in this, like it shows you that he's got a robotic body, but he can move quick and he can move with purpose. And it's, without going too deep into this, I don't want to take us too far down the rabbit hole, but the second book in this new Thrawn trilogy I've been reading without much success because I'm not liking it. The first one was amazing. Like the first Thrawn book that they released was so good, but the second one's been kind of boring. And that's one of my biggest issues is Darth Vader and his portrayal. Excuse me. There's just some moments in the book that like Darth Vader gets taken down by things that he is way too powerful to get taken down by. And so it's just kind of like frustrating, and I don't like that because
it's annoying.
He's like one of the most powerful ever. So no, these weird things that turn into like metal that stop him from moving. I'm sorry, I don't care how many of them there were. He could have used the Force. It's like all these like little like firefly type things coming at him, and the book tries to explain it as like he couldn't cut them down fast enough, and he couldn't reach out to them with the Force. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think he could have reached out with the Force. I mean, freaking Starkiller in his video games took down a Star Destroyer with the Force. I think Darth Vader could take down some bugs.
Yeah, I remember playing that part and being like, is this really happening? Like, is he really like yanking down this Star Destroyer? Because
that was so cool.
I did not remember Luke doing anything like this. I remember him like trying to pull his ship out of the swamp and be like, it's
Yoda always said the size didn't matter, man.
Yeah.
The size doesn't matter. The Force doesn't care. It's all in your head.
Yeah. So and that's something that I was going to even say is I want to see more of that. I want to see more Darth Vader. And I feel like a Star Killer, TV series or movie would be really cool way to like bring out both of those awesome characters, So and I think a lot of people want it. Like, I mean, people got out of Rogue One and were like, I want more Darth Vader. Like, like, it was just like this little taste, and we're like, we want more.
That was the first time that I was like, okay, I could do a Darth Vader solo movie now. Because I was never interested in it. And then that like 2-minute scene made me like, okay, I want this now. I'm
Yeah.
on board.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think Star Killer would be a great way to go about doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's just kind of talk about we're just going to go through them. So we got Force Awakens. And I just want to talk about like what we were feeling at the time that we saw these movies.
So are we talking just like all the Disney movies?
Yeah, all the Disney movies. So
Okay. Yeah. So if you talk about how I felt at the time, there's only one of them that I walked out of not like, whoa, and that was Solo. Because honestly, I walked out of Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi just like blown away and so excited about how wonderful they were. It was only afterwards that I started reflecting on some of them and didn't like them as much. Rogue One is the exception because it is freaking amazing. But yeah, The Force Awakens, I remember watching it, just thinking it was the coolest thing. I loved it, thought it was so good. And that now, after, what was 2015, so not quite 4 years, but 4 years this December, I still think it's a really good movie. I do think it's a massive ripoff of A New Hope. Turns out that was their intent, but it's good. I do have some issues with it though, but we can dive into that. Maybe let's hear what your initial thoughts first, and then we'll dive into that.
yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great, and right off the bat, I had the same thoughts that a lot of people did, where it was just like, wow, this was really, really like A New Hope,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, you know what? It's been like 40 years since A New Hope came out. And they were trying to recapture Star Wars, and basing it off of so much that was very similar. I felt like it was a great strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like even people who didn't really like that aspect of the movie still really enjoyed watching it, and it made Star Wars big again. And the so I thought it was really well done. It was well cast. It had some really great characters that it introduced, and I was just like, you know what? If they go from here, as long as the next two movies are not Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, then it can be a really great trilogy. So
Yeah.
I walked out of it with a really positive attitude. Loved the movie. I would seriously really loved Force Awakens. I still do. And had a really good outlook towards the future of the franchise at the time. So.
Yeah, I did too, and Rogue One only solidified it. But I don't want to move on to Rogue One yet, but I want to use it to make a point. Because J.J. Abrams, one of the things he said about why he made The Force Awakens so much like A New Hope is that he felt like that by drawing on that movie and kind of making it similar, that it would give people the feeling of this is Star Wars and like really make people feel like they were watching a Star Wars movie again. And Rogue One destroys that argument from him because Rogue One doesn't take all these elements or doesn't like copy another movie, and it feels as like close to the original trilogy as anything that Disney has done. So again, I don't mean to like badmouth Force Awakens because I really, really like it, but I do think that J.J. Abrams' comment there about it being done to make it feel more Star Wars is stupid. Star Wars doesn't mean doing the same thing. Star Wars means the Force and John Williams music and some of these other things. Granted, John Williams isn't going to do anymore after Episode 9, but like there's more to Star Wars than making it the same. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I get where you're coming from. I think that that it's still I don't view it as a dumb comment, only because
Did I say dumb comment? If so, that was probably a bit too far, but just an
well,
incorrect statement, maybe. I don't know.
well, even then, because even though Rogue One was very successful, that doesn't mean that having those elements in Force Awakens didn't help capture the feeling of Star Wars for a lot of people,
Fair.
because for me, it did. And really, like, when you think about it, when you have the Force in the state that it is with Luke kind of failing at teaching, and not many people knowing about the Force, Luke being in exile, like,
Yeah.
it has to be kind of a New Hope type of story. Like, they need to bring back the Force users, and so there were going to be aspects that were similar. I think he just kind of went, let's go all out with this, and bring a New Hope back, basically.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they didn't have the same director for all three movies. That was just a stupid idea.
I agree. I think that was a big mistake.
It is a huge mistake, and if they would have taken one vision for the trilogy instead of trying to like chop the vision for the future of the franchise up, then they would have had something that they could have had, like a plan. Like, we're making this one like the original trilogy, and then the rest of them we're going to make unique and special, and we're going to grab the attention of our viewers, and then we're going to take them into a whole new place that they haven't been before.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Rogue One was fantastic. It's a masterpiece. It might even be the best Star Wars movie ever made, honestly. I mean,
I would say it is.
My
pretty
favorite
up
is
there.
probably still Return of the Jedi, just because I need more of the Force in the movie,
Yeah.
but I have a bias there. But man, it was so good. It was so good. And so I see how they didn't need to do that necessarily for the movie to be good, but it still wasn't a bad strategy. So I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
The Force Awakens, you mean?
Yeah, Force Awakens. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just I think we talked about this on the last show, maybe even or a couple shows ago. But excuse me, drink too much Diet Mountain Dew too quickly. I didn't like how Kylo Ren got beat by this untrained girl. I didn't like that. Like, Kylo Ren's supposed to be super well trained, and he just gets beat by this newbie. You know what I mean? That was like another thing I didn't really like about the movie. But again, all in all, I really like Force Awakens. I still I like it better than the prequel movies, and I think I like it more than A New Hope. I think it's good. I think it's one of the better Star Wars movies. But I definitely didn't like. I like seeing the Sith win. That's what it is. Not that he's a Sith, but anyway.
Well, though, I know we talked about this before, like kind of like our what we hope happens in the next movie, but that whole thing with Rey beating Kylo, like, I think it would be really cool if she were a clone of Mara Jade,
Yeah,
and she had that.
it could be an interesting take.
Yeah, like, she had that innate ability to, just kind of already in her DNA. Like, it was like muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if for people who didn't hear about that theory, because they're changing the characters up in the universe, Mara Jade would have been Obi-Wan's wife instead of Luke's. So, but anyway.
Well, we're getting long-winded. Yeah, let's move on to Rogue One.
Yeah, so Rogue One, we've kind of already touched on it. For me, it was just, I was blown away. I was blown away. I was as blown away as the freaking Death Star, man. It was, but it was so good. I loved how they just thought about all the angles, and they kind of took this whole, thing about people making fun of the movie because of, one fighter taking down this, ship the size of the moon, and how ridiculous that seemed and everything. And they just went with this massive positive spin on it. And decided that it was on purpose, like a flaw that was on purpose, and like they just thought about those details and those angles, and they turned things that were made fun of in the franchise into like really positive, cool things about the franchise.
Yeah.
And so it was just so well thought out and so well done. And it's one of the moments from Disney where they really had in mind, what do the fans want? What do they want to see? What would make this awesome?
Yeah, it was so good. It wasn't just fan service, but there was a lot of fan service. It was so good. I totally agree. Rogue One, I can't think of like bad things to say about it really, because it just blew me away. The characters are compelling, and sadly they all die at the end, but they went out fighting and they accomplished something incredible. And it really was just such a good story. You had Suicide Squad that came out that same year, and then you had a true Suicide Squad in Rogue One that was so much better. And I don't know. Jyn Erso is such a great character. Cassian was really good. K2SO, who I'm very excited is going to be in the Star Wars show for Disney Plus. Yeah, just very, very good. The music, it's John Williams did it, so of course it's going to be good, but it feels very Star Wars, but yet they made it their own. It was a bit darker, but it still had a lot of light and funny moments. It's everything I want out of a Star Wars movie, except for the fact that it didn't have the Force. But it also wasn't like negatively impacted by the lack of Force. Like they obviously talked about it with Chirrut, right? That's how you say his name?
True. Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
And he was awesome too. Like there was just, it's a really good movie, and it wasn't hurt by the lack of lightsabers.
But you know what? Darth Vader was in it.
Yeah.
He had like a Arnold 80s cheesy line in it.
Oh man, yes. Okay. If there's anything I'm going to say bad about the movie, it's actually that. His cheesy line, and it's weird. I don't know why, because it's the same voice, but he sounded different and not in a good way. I didn't like it. I think it's just that James Earl Jones is older and his voice isn't the same.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you can tell from the Lion King trailer, his voice sounds different too. But you can. I chalked it up,
director, and not to choke on your words or something. Like that.
Yeah, choke on your aspirations. Yeah. So you can I chalked it up as a dad joke.
It was.
It's a dad joke. He is, he's the dad.
So man, choking a guy and telling him not to choke on his aspirations. Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a little bit goofy, and it's honestly probably something that I would have said if I had the Force.
Yeah. I'm a very punny individual, so probably as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but not. But you just don't think of it as like a serious Sith, saying that. So, yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah, it was such a good movie. Can't say enough good things about it. I would watch it over and over again.
I really want it to come out in 4K, but Disney just doesn't want to release it in 4K.
Yeah, well, my wife doesn't want to buy a TV in 4K either, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, it matters to me. I'm obsessed with 4K now.
I would love to have a 4K TV, but
so speaking of a 4K movie, The Last Jedi is in 4K. Oh. And that's probably the best thing about it.
It's probably the best thing about it. Well, let's move on then, actually. So The Last Jedi is the next one.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
That's a yes. Yeah. Okay. So initial thoughts, I loved it. I got out of the theater and I was like, that's my favorite Star Wars movie. That's what I said originally. Or I said it was in like the top 2. And I was just over the moon, ecstatic. I thought it was so good. So many twists and turns. Like I've said before, I do still really like that Rey was a nobody. That's what I wanted. That's what I got. Um, there were moments where I thought Rey and Kylo Ren were going to team up and that Kylo was going to be good. And they were kind of doing this like love story between them as well, which still might get developed in episode 9. But I loved it. I thought it was so good. It was only after the fact when I started thinking about it more and I saw it again that I started seeing some of the issues. I still think The Last Jedi is good. I still really like it. But not as much as I did. I think some of the criticism it gets is a little unfair, but it's definitely not the best Star Wars movie. It's a good movie, but not the best. And it greatly would have benefited from having J.J. Abrams do it, or just the same director on all 3 movies. It felt, once you watch it again, it felt very out of place. It takes place like right after The Force Awakens, but it feels like different, like way too different.
Yeah. Well, and kind of going back to you talking about the love story that seemed like was blossoming.
Yeah.
Kind of when I was watching it, I was thinking of A New Hope, and I was just like, people are theorizing that she's a Skywalker. Like, does this be another like Leia kisses Luke moment? Like,
luckily, no kisses happened.
Yes, but still weird. Still
Yes.
weird. Like even if you went on a date with someone you were related to and found out you were related later, that'd be weird. Yeah. Even if there was no kiss at the end. So, yeah, man. I really liked it. When I came out of it originally, I was really excited. I was on the Star Wars high. I was also on a high of being on vacation in New Zealand, and there was all kinds of fun things happening. And we actually just met this like German couple as we were traveling, and we went and saw Star Wars with them. And it was like the first Star Wars movie they'd ever seen, and they loved it. So it was just kind of like this high, and it was really fun. But, further reflection of the movie was just kind of like, there were so many things that kind of conflicted with the Star Wars universe. And really, like, even though I still enjoy watching it, it was never for me one of the top ones. Like it was, I like all the Star Wars movies, but it was definitely still towards the bottom for me, even when I first saw it. But it was, I mean, really, and further looking into it and seeing Rian Johnson's motives and how successful he was really kind of makes me upset about it, because he wanted it to be controversial and to where some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it, and which would be fine for a movie that was, if it was by itself, like if you took like Inception, for example. Like some people loved the ending of Inception and some people were pissed because they were just like, did the thing fall or not, And that's okay. That's okay, because there's, they weren't planning on making Inception sequels. They didn't have a franchise.
Yep.
So, but with this, it's like, there's a huge fan base of people who are, love the franchise, have loved the franchise for decades. And you're kind of, putting a cog in the wheels, or like you're putting them.
It alienated people.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. I'm okay with putting a wrench into it and changing it up, but yeah, it divided the fan base, and it kind of brought out the nastiest of that fan base, which is kind of too bad. Like some people got really passionate and rude about it. People campaigning to get it removed from canon and all this, which was a stupid effort. Like really, yeah, right. Like that was just dumb. But yeah, I'm with you. There were some things about it that just weren't great. Yeah, and it didn't help that Mark Hamill was really vocal about how he didn't like it. That made the division among the fans even worse.
Well,
I kind of wish he would have kept his mouth shut.
They felt justified, know, because they're like, well, Luke feels this way about it, like,
yeah,
so,
which I wouldn't be surprised if he got a talking to about that from Disney.
He probably did, but he's like, you know what? I'm Luke Skywalker, and you're not recasting me.
Oh yeah,
So,
no.
and I like Mark Hamill in certain aspects, but then other things, like he is a little bit cocky. He's a little bit, like a little bit full of himself in some ways, and it shows. Which, I mean, it would be really hard to not be being that famous, I think,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like he kind of has that attitude a lot, I feel like. And you're right, it didn't help. Um,
It's tough because, like, the actors are entitled to their opinion, and I don't think that they should have to, like, just shut up. But at the same time, I think it made things a lot worse
well, yeah,
having this voice of Star Wars being so negative about it.
right, yeah, and it's not that he has to shut up; it's just that he probably should have. You
Yes.
know, you know. So he has the right, but at the same time, it's like, dude, we need more positivity for Star Wars right now. So
He was good and didn't say anything negative until after it came out, which I'm sure
right,
is a contract thing. Like, you don't you dare say something negative about the movie before it comes out. Like,
right,
which I
yeah,
get from a marketing standpoint, you don't want that. But yeah, I mean, there's some great moments. Like, my favorite moment has got to be Rey and Kylo Ren fighting Snoke's guard.
hmm
Likewise, my least favorite moment when I watched it was Snoke dying. Which, now that the Emperor is going to be in Episode 9, I don't care. I'm fine with Snoke being dead. But that was very surprising, right? Like, did
yeah.
you expect that to happen?
Well, I mean, I saw it coming, obviously, once the scene started, but
Sure.
before that, no. I mean, not at all.
Yeah, yeah. Same. I saw it coming as well, but not originally. Not until
Yeah,
we're getting into the scene a little bit, and he's got the lightsaber, and he starts talking to Kylo. I'm like, Kylo's going to kill him. He's dead.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
you
then
know
I
what?
thought Kylo was going to be good. Like, that was what I liked about it. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Like, I would think it was going to go one way, and then it would go another way, because they were leading up the whole movie to, like, Kylo Ren and Rey's connection, and, like, that it was going to amount to something, and then it didn't. Which I thought was clever. They used
Yeah,
all this foreshadowing, and then it ended up being a misdirect, which I don't think is bad storytelling. I think it's actually very creative storytelling.
yeah. And honestly, like I wasn't one of the people that was super upset about it. Like I would like to see more content and learn more about Snoke,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I feel like the direction of the story is that right now Kylo Ren and Rey are like the two opposing force, opposing sides of the force. Like she's the light side, he's the dark side, and that's
Yeah,
clashing now. And it's more supposed to be about them, and I'm okay with that. And I
yeah,
thought it was cool because Kylo Ren, like you said, had been beaten by Rey, who, as far as we know right now, hasn't had any previous training or any reason to be, you know, beating Kylo Ren in a
yeah.
fight.
We
And
saw that she was good with the bow staff. Like, I understand
yeah,
that she's, like, good with weapons, but yeah, like, as
no,
far as we
but she's.
knew,
I mean, he's been trained by Luke. He's a Force user. Like he's been training for years, and she's just comes out and beats him all of a sudden. It didn't make any sense. There are ways that we've talked about that could be explained, but the reason
yeah,
why I thought this scene was cool when he killed Snoke is because his whole thing is like he kind of gets in the mind. Like it seems like that's where he's powerful a little bit, is he like
yeah,
getting in people's minds. And I kind of felt like it was kind of similar to occlumency in Harry Potter, and he kind of has like a stronger ability to like maybe keep Snoke out of his head,
yeah,
and it kind of showed that he was powerful in that way because Snoke was obviously showing how powerful he was with Rey and like chucking her around um and um and then yeah, he just comes out and he's able to like hide his feelings from his master. Like I thought that was showing him as being powerful. So I
no,
thought
I
I thought that
agree.
was I thought that was a good direction for him. And I feel like we could get more content about Snoke because lots of people want it, and maybe they'll come out with something about it. But for the direction of the trilogy, I thought that it wasn't a negative thing, honestly.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
But as a whole, like, as much as I liked the movie, I kind of would have liked um, more of the movie to be Luke being positive, because he has a very negative attitude for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Only up until the very end, which that end scene was just awesome. It was so cool. Um,
Him fighting Kylo.
yeah, him. Yeah,
That was
his
cool.
force projection.
That was
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for me, that was the best part of the movie. I think.
And again,
That.
I didn't see it coming. I thought
Yeah,
Luke was there, that he was like really, in person, and then
yeah,
you see him die because he projected himself. It was
yeah,
cool. It was a cool moment.
yeah. And I mean, it's only like in hindsight that you go back and watch it, and you're like, oh yeah, his footsteps weren't making marks in the salt, and like,
Yeah, the
you
attention to
know,
detail was good, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it was really cool. I kind of would have liked it even if he was there and all the AT-ATs shot at him and he just brushed it off. That would have been even more cool, like if he was that powerful.
I do think that would have been really cool. I agree.
But I mean, the force projection was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, there were so many like positive moments about the movie, and then just overall the things that they did with some of the characters. Obviously splitting the fan base with how they feel about Luke and his actions towards Kylo. Kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth, even if the movie wasn't that bad, just because of how many people thought it was that bad.
yeah, and
So
it became very toxic, and and so I didn't really like Rose, but there were people that just went after her and like really were aggressively awful towards this person, and that isn't okay. Like how awful they were to
to her
the
personally,
actress.
yeah,
Yeah, like like she just did what she was directed and what was written. Like I think the character of Rose was awful, but that's not. I don't think that was the actress's fault. And even if it was the actress's fault, it's a freaking movie.
yeah,
Don't treat people that way. So
right,
that was another like the worst thing about the Last Jedi for me was how negative it was in the community. Like how many like just how like I don't want to say bad people, but just kind of awful things that people did and said to each other over a movie. Like
yeah. And you
I
know
love
what?
Star Wars, but come on.
With what you're talking about with Rose, people are such hypocrites too, because you know that if those people had a chance to be in a Star Wars movie, even if it was like some crappy side character, they would have been all over being
Oh
in that
heck
movie.
yeah. Heck yeah.
Like I would. I don't care. Like
If you
I'd
wanted
be
me to be involved in a Star Wars production and my job was to wipe the main actors' butts, I'd do it. If you could put my name in a credit, shoot.
Max Viper. Yeah, man. No, seriously though. I mean, they're all hypocritical because they'd be in it, and they're just like tearing her down. I think she had to delete her Twitter account.
yeah, she got off social media because of it. I don't blame
So,
her.
and it's sad that we have some people in the fan base who are nasty like that, but I think the majority of the fan base is much better than that.
Yeah.
But
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 it was just a crippling movie and it led to Solo not being as successful as it could have been.
and that's the next thing. I mean, going on to Solo. Um, how'd you feel about Solo, Max?
So I liked it. Like I said earlier, the first three of the Disney movies blew me away when I got out of the theater. Solo didn't. Um, I walked out thinking it was fun. It wasn't great, but it was good. Um, it was after watching it again that I actually liked it more on my second and third viewings. But I like Solo. I think it's good. I think you can't ever live up to Harrison Ford. He's just too good. I do think, can't remember the name of the YouTuber, but there's a guy who does. He was in Age of Adeline. He played a younger version of Harrison Ford. I think they would have been better off casting him. He looks more like him. He impersonates him better. But Alden Ehrenreich, however you say his name exactly, he wasn't bad. It was good. It was fun. I loved Emilia Clarke's character. I liked that Darth Maul cameo. I thought Woody Harrelson was great. Really good action sequences. That's another one that looks really good in 4K. But overall, it was just fine, not great.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you. Like, actually, my second time watching the movie, I think I liked it more than the first time.
Yeah.
But I do have to disagree with you about Alden. I thought that he was kind of crappy.
Really?
Yeah, like I did not think he was a good solo at all. And you're totally right. Like, I didn't expect anybody that they cast to like live up to Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
but he didn't like even come close. Like
He was
you know,
inconsistent.
like there could have been so many other choices, I felt like.
Yeah, he was inconsistent. There were moments that I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, that's pretty good. Like this feels like the same Han Solo." And then there were other moments where I'm like, "This is a totally different character."
Well, and you know what? Like, he even talked about before the movie that he wasn't trying to mimic Harrison Ford. He was trying to have his own version of Han Solo. And I was just like,
That's
no,
stupid.
we already have Han Solo. He's already an established character. Like, you don't mess with Han. Like, the whole point of making the movie is that Disney thought, oh, people love Han Solo. Let's make a Han Solo movie. You
Yeah.
don't do that and then go, oh, but we're going to make Han Solo different. Like, no, like that's not
No,
what you're
I
supposed to do.
agree. I agree. It's okay to make him a little different. Like one thing I think the movie did really well was show how Han became as hardened as he was. I didn't mind the fact that like this version of the character was a little bit more optimistic, a little bit less like gruff than what we saw in the original trilogy. But yeah, in other ways, it's like you're playing the same character. You don't. Yeah, I don't like that mentality of well, I'm playing the character. I'm going to interpret it how I want. That's not how that works. Like it's one thing to take a character from a book and interpret it kind of the way you want onto the film, but when you're playing a character that's been established in a movie, you can't take too many liberties.
Yeah. And honestly though, I kind of felt like the movie had a little bit too much good feels at the end of it. Because I didn't feel like he was as hardened in that movie as he should have been.
Really?
Because I mean, when he comes out in A New Hope, he's just like, the Force doesn't exist. Like, you guys are stupid for thinking like your idealistic views and like all this stuff. Whereas at the end of Solo, he was like, I'm giving up all this stuff so I can help the rebellion, like,
That's
and
true. That's true. Like,
yeah,
because I was thinking about how he shot Woody Harrelson's character, and like he shot first, like so that was
yeah,
an evolution, and then how his girlfriend left him. But you're right. Like he was so hardened in A New Hope that it didn't make sense in the writing that he gave away all that money.
yeah.
Like
And
yeah,
it was a start. It was a start, because there's still a gap in between Solo and A New Hope, a gap of time.
yeah,
And there could have been more that happened, but
mhm,
as the whole movie as a whole, if that's what they were going for, I don't feel like it fully executed that.
yeah,
But I agree with what you said about killing Woody Harrelson's character. That is something he wouldn't have done at the start of the movie, I don't feel like,
yeah.
so there was that. But overall, yeah, I didn't feel like he was as hardened as he should have been. There was kind of too much mushy good feelings at the end. But I loved Emilia Clarke. I thought she was such a cool character. I felt like she had a lot of range in it, as kind of her character kind of, I feel like, transformed more than Han Solo's character did.
Mhm.
And Woody Harrelson was fantastic, and he's pretty much fantastic in everything. But
Yeah. Well, and it
yeah,
was fun having Chewie on screen again too. I liked seeing Chewie and
yeah,
Han.
Chewie was great.
I liked how they met. Some people didn't like that, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I liked it.
Having to meet with Chewie trying to kill him.
Yeah, which
You know?
I feel like is appropriate. with Chewie's character, and he would have been very upset at the time, because of the captivity of his people and
Which is
himself.
another thing I loved, because that's a huge thing for like the extended universe, is that Chewie and like all the Wookiees being in slavery and stuff, and the
Yeah.
movies hadn't addressed that. So that was another thing I really liked, is seeing all the Wookiees in slavery and going out of their way to free them, because that is something I think Han Solo would do.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, for sure, especially for Chewie, because he's got that soft spot for him, and I think that started right away when they first met.
yeah,
But yeah, it was there were so many good aspects about it. It was just the main character, Han Solo, the one that the movie was all about, kind of didn't hit. It didn't hit the
yeah.
mark.
Okay.
And I feel like if it would have, if his character would have been more on par, it maybe wouldn't have done as bad,
Mhm.
because I feel like, even though it was massively impacted by episode 8, if people would have come out the first week from Solo and would have just been like, Han Solo was such an awesome, cool, fun character, then more people would have started going, and it could have built up and had some momentum, but they didn't. And they had a reason why not to say that.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer, but I feel like J.J. Abrams is doing a great job right now. So let's kind of talk about the whole state of the franchise as a whole right now, where we think it's at, and where it's going. For me, I think that right now Star Wars is kind of at the lowest point it's ever been, with its fans and with hype. But like, for example, previously when I'd seen any other Star Wars movie trailer at the beginning of another movie, there was always claps and hoots and hollers, And this last time, when I saw the Star Wars trailer before Endgame, there was one person like,
It's true. The reputation of Star Wars has gotten sullied, and it's too bad.
yeah, and it could have been something where they were going back up on the right track with Han Solo if they had made Solo more like Han Solo.
Yeah.
uh, and they didn't. But at the same time, J.J. Abrams is working very hard, and I think that he knows that the fans are putting their faith in him to correct some of the mistakes of Episode 8, to really focus on what the fans want to see, and make a really good movie. And he doesn't have the attitude that Rian Johnson has, where he wants it to be, he wants it to be this conflict of, opinions on it.
Yeah.
He wants everyone to love this movie. And so I think that there's a lot of promise there. And I think his trailer that just got released is a testament to that. It was really good, really well received, and I think it's kind of bolstered people into being more excited about the next movie.
Yeah, I think so too. There is still a lot of negativity out there. Not that social media can give you all the answers, but just in what I see on social media, there's so many people that are just so tired of it, tired of Star Wars. Some of them didn't even give it a chance. Some of them were like, I saw Force Awakens, I didn't like it, and I didn't see the others. Some of them are like, I haven't seen anything Disney's come out with, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I'm like, bull honky you are. You haven't even tried it? Like, come on. It's like saying that you love steak and they come out with a new cut and you won't even try it. I don't know. That bugs me when they're like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I haven't seen any of the Disney stuff. Okay, that you're not. I'm sorry, but but I understand where like those who have been watching it and trying to give Disney a chance and have been disappointed. I see where they're coming from. People that have seen all these movies and they're like, I'm kind of like less interested now. I get it. I get it. But I do think that trailer has invigorated a bit and made people more optimistic. I've seen comments from people online saying, wow, I really wasn't excited for this movie at all. But after that trailer, I'm hyped. I want to see this. This looks good. And I agree. I wasn't as down on Star Wars. Like, I've been excited for Episode 9 all along. I think at this point, it's probably my most anticipated movie. Endgame was. Now that's out. I mean, now technically, John Wick 3 is I'm most excited for that, but that's soon. But with Star Wars Episode 9, it's like overall that is my most anticipated movie this year. I'm very, very excited to see that, and looking forward to more details. But yeah, I think Disney's in a better place now after the Episode 9 trailer, after bringing on Palpatine to come back. But all in all, yeah, Disney's in the lowest spot it's been from what I've observed. People just are a lot less excited and really not trusting Disney.
Yeah, and I don't blame people either. But I'm as excited for it as ever. I don't feel like I've lost any hype for Star Wars. But I am sad that other people don't have that.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that it does well. I think that once again, like, it needs to hit that first weekend, and just make people like explode and be like, I love Star Wars again. And JJ Abrams needs to make that happen. Like, it's like such a big thing on his shoulders, but like, you got to do it, man.
Yeah. I worry that what I'm about to say is going to be impossible. But what I'd really like to see happen is, Endgame is doing incredible. I think it hit 2 billion today. It's catching up. Yeah. It's probably going to end up at the number 2 most grossing movie ever. Hopefully it beats Avatar, but it might not. But nothing against Avatar, but I want Avatar to be dethroned. But what I really want to have happen is I want to see one of those moments where everyone's like, Endgame did so well, and Episode 9 can just say, hold my beer. I want Episode 9 to be successful. Star Wars is my favorite franchise. But Marvel's been doing it better. If we look at Disney's 2 biggest franchises, Star Wars and Marvel has been better. They just have. And I don't want that to be the case. I want Episode 9 to be even better and more epic than Endgame was. I think that's a tall order.
It's a very tall order.
Because Endgame was extremely epic. Yeah. But that's what I want. I don't expect that, but I want it.
It needs to be huge. It needs to be, because it's the end of the Skywalker saga. Like, Marvel's whole thing is like, this was 10 years in the making, right? Like, all this culmination of 10 years of movies. This is like 40 years in the making.
Yeah.
So,
50, I think, at this point. It's like 78, I think, was the original Star Wars, or 76.
Yeah, well, that's 40. Is
that 40? All right. You're probably right.
But yeah, like, this is, in any case, it's several decades of, stories in the making coming to a culmination. Like, it needs to be huge. It needs to be good. It needs to be something that is going to, give fans the chills, when they watch it. That's what happened when freaking Captain America pulls out Mjolnir in Endgame, which, sorry, I just said a spoiler. My bad. Are we out of the spoiler zone for that?
Technically, Monday is when the Russo brothers have said we can lift spoilers.
Okay, so I just am sorry if you haven't seen it. But anyway, that's how, like, people felt. Like, and so it was, I don't know. It was, it needs to be that. It needs to be something where you just, like, want to jump out of your seat and yell at the screen, like, at different parts of the movie.
Yeah.
And so it's something that needs to happen. It needs to be there for the future of the franchise, because, like, they're taking a step back. And And I don't want them to take a step back. I want them to be like confident moving forward. People have faith in us again.
Yeah.
Let's do this, you know?
The good news, though, is that there's still going to be plenty of content out there. I mean, this year alone, we're going to have 3 different Star Wars projects. Episode 9, The Mandalorian, which is launching with Disney Plus on like November 12th, I believe is the release date, and Jedi Fallen Order, the video game. So just there is 3 projects within Star Wars this year alone. And then we've got the Cassian Andor TV show that's going to be coming out, which I think is slated for like 2021. But I don't think 2020 is going to be without Star Wars. I bet The Mandalorian is going to roll into that, because I think they're going to do like an episode a week kind of a thing, not release the whole thing at once.
Oh,
So
really?
I don't know.
kinda
I don't.
wanna think about that.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I thought I saw something about that, but I don't think 2020 is going to be Star Wars less. I think we're still going to have stuff. But yeah, it does suck that the movies are kind of taking a back seat. But with these extra TV shows, I think it's really exciting. I think the future of Star Wars is going to be set up for great things, and I think Disney Plus is going to play a big role in that. I mean, those shows I think are going to be more like side Star Wars stories, but I don't care. Side Star Wars stories are what the books are, and they're amazing. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, movies are awesome for being movies, but at the same time, the reason why the books have been popular among fans is because they give more detail, they give more backstory, they build up the universe more, and that's what a TV series is going to do. It's going to have more hours of content that can give us more details and more in between stories and new characters. So yeah, it's I think it's going to be great. Like I love I'm especially excited for the Mandalorian. Honestly, I think it's going to be cool.
yeah,
I really wanted something with what's her face, Star Wars Rebels. The
Ahsoka.
Mandalorian. No, the
Oh,
Mandalorian.
her Sabine.
Sabine, yeah. I kind of wanted something with Sabine.
Hey, you never know. She could show up.
She could show up.
She'd be old by that point, because it takes place after
episode 9, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty sure.
Which I'm wondering about that, because it's going to come out before episode 9, but the events are going to be after episode 9. So like, how do they keep from spoilers? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's probably just going to be a more grounded story. Maybe takes place on one planet, kind of a thing,
right?
Rather than the whole universe.
But I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the main trilogy kind of affects the whole universe. Like
it does. So hopefully, if they are doing the week-to-week thing, maybe what they would do is like, once episode 9's been out for like a month, whatever episode, maybe the finale of The Mandalorian season 1, like, plays into what happens in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah. So well, and then like like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example, like when they had Avengers, the first Avengers movie hit, or was it?
It was when Captain America Winter Soldier came out. That was season 1. So when the whole Hydra reveal came out, that hit immediately with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's what it was. Yeah. And that was cool.
Awesome. It was awesome.
That was cool how they did that. Yeah. I would love to see something like that in The Mandalorian. So in that case, if it works out that way, I'm okay with not binge watching it.
Binging is nice, though.
Yeah, it is.
But even though I'm 2 episodes behind on Doom Patrol, I have enjoyed, for the most part, having every Friday to watch a Doom Patrol episode. So it's kind of fun, but at the same token, it's also nice to just binge.
Yeah.
Be like, the new season of Luke Cage is out. I'm just going to watch it all.
Yeah, I hate going like a week in anticipation. Like, no, I just want to click next.
I'm with you. At least the nice thing is, because this is the one thing I hate about all these shows lately, is they take their freaking winter breaks for like 2 months. So like, you'll be watching The Walking Dead, you get done with episode 9, it ends on a huge cliffhanger, and then they're gone for 2 months. Like, you suck, AMC.
Yeah,
at least we only have to wait a week.
Like, we won't get viewership if we play stuff on Christmas Day. It's like, I'll watch it.
Right? All right, man. Well, do we have anything else to discuss, or are we good to go?
Oh, I think we're good, man. I think there's some good things in the future. The only thing I was gonna say additional is I really don't understand why Ryan Johnson still has a trilogy right now.
I don't know.
Because
He's a good storyteller. Maybe if you let him have the entire story, it'd be good, rather than giving him a fraction that he like uproots everything.
yeah. I mean, but it's still a universe that he was trying to really change, I felt like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Like and like I say, like I still enjoyed the movie, but like he's not good. He's not good for Star Wars, man. Like he's making the fan base split, and it's the more you make it fracture, that's the less your fan base is going to be into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everything that they're doing is like geared towards let's fix things and make it good, and then they're like, oh, but we still have Ryan Johnson making a trilogy, and then you go, wait a second.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm still excited for episode 9. I hope that you guys are too. I hope everybody goes and watches it and supports the franchise. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, go ahead and make sure to catch us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We are normally doing podcasts every other week. This past week, we had an additional week doing Avengers Endgame. So if you haven't listened to that, go do so. And we do actually give a spoiler warning in that one. So sorry again about that little outburst, but
Yeah. The next show actually is going to be Lance is coming here to Colorado to visit, and we're going to go see John Wick 3, and we're going to be talking about that on our next episode. So we're excited to do that. We're going to do that probably on a Friday night instead of a Saturday. So if you're one of the people that likes to tune in live on YouTube, we might even do it Thursday after we see the movie. We haven't really decided, but it'll probably be Friday since he's leaving Saturday to go back home to Arizona. But we're excited for that. If you do listen to the podcast, please review us on whatever platform you listen to. And likewise, if you want to catch the show earlier, hit us up on YouTube. We record every other Saturday night, and the show is up immediately after. If you are one of the people who tried to watch this week's, sorry, it got fractured into 2 videos. One of them will say Couch Crunchers issue number 56, and the other one is issue number 56, take 2. Don't know what happened. Technical difficulties caused us to lose the broadcast. We had to start over. So it's in 2 separate videos. But thank you so much to anyone who listens. We really appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. That being said,
Nerds,
dorks,
geeks,
unite!
unite!